Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee and Conversation right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and today I'm pleased to introduce Peter Vogel from Luxury Hospitality Management. How are you?
Hi there. Thank you. I'm very good. Very good. Beautiful sunshine
Good.
out there.
Yeah, well, are you in lockdown? Where are you at the moment?
Well, apparently our Prime Minister calls it the intelligent lockdown. It is lockdown, I'd say. I mean, I don't really go out. We are allowed to go to the shops, and actually you can be with three people together. So that really doesn't help you. So yeah, I stay in most of the time, and I go shopping just around the corner. That's pretty much it. Apparently, 93% of our whole population actually keeps themselves to this kind of guideline. So, and we've seen the dropping numbers for both IC, hospital intake, and death. So we hope that it might work.
Good. Well, that's good news. There is a lot of good news happening straight across the face of the planet at the moment,
Yeah.
and we are seeing numbers drop. And it's just this social distancing and the isolation. I think is a great thing because I think what people don't realize is that if we don't do this as stringently as we do now, that this will go on a lot longer than if we do actually do the best job we can, so we can all get back to doing exactly what it is we love to do.
100%. I think we all came home on the 11th. All the trainers, we all flew home. And then from that Friday onwards, we've stayed in. That was the advice from most of our governments. Then everybody got into lockdown. I was actually at a client's on the 10th in Monaco, and Monaco went into announcing the countries of of who they didn't want in their country. I was in the office of a client, and I was actually asked by the PA to leave the office. and
Wow.
get out of the country, basically, which was kind of surreal at the time. But I look back now and I'm like, wow, you know what? I'm so glad that they took it so serious. And I think a lot of, pretty much the clients that we work with are all taking this very serious. I mean, it is serious, people. Stay home, distance each other. And then basically this will all pass. But if we keep, undermining this crazy COVID-19, we ain't going to win it.
No, exactly right. And these rules and regulations have been put in place for our own safekeeping and our own health. So we might as well do the best that we can. But I actually have you here because I want to talk about you.
Oh my God, here we go. The least favorite topic of me, but hey.
Oh, do you know what? There's a lot of people out there that find it a very interesting topic because you have built something that is quite phenomenal and is well respected throughout the yachting industry and hospitality industry as well, not just yachting.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Peter. Where did you start off?
Oh, me. Wow. Okay. Long time now, guys. Well, I remember as a kid that I would be serving, at birthday parties and all that kind of stuff. I'd be serving the family and the friends, and somehow never really thought of anything there. My mom somehow thought that maybe there was something going on there, and then basically I was around 16, I think, and I became a dishwasher in a restaurant, my local top restaurant, and I became a dishwasher. Absolutely loved it. How weird is that, hey? I
Yep.
absolutely loved getting it all clean, putting it all neatly, getting it all out again. So that, I never would have thought I would eventually do what I do today. But yeah, very quickly forward, I got a paper. In the paper, there was an ad about going onto cruise ships. And I remember going into this meeting in Amsterdam where they asked me to translate a whole kind of, menu items. And they basically said, oh yeah, you can go on a cruise ship and we'll send you to Royal Caribbean. And I was like, nah, I've done my research. I need to be on Seaburn. Seaburn Cruise Lines is like the number one. They're called the yachts. And I was like, obviously rather arrogant. I was 18. And I ended up basically sent home that day. They did not give me a job on Seaburn. But I got a call 2 weeks later from Sieben directly, and I did an interview on the telephone. And this is in the days that there were still fax machines.
Yeah.
So I do this interview, and basically they go like, "Okay, Peter, after about half an hour, they said, okay, you have the job, and we'll send you a contract. Give us a fax number." Now, this is in the time you've got to imagine that I think I'm 18 in a few months. I had not really told my parents about any of this because I'd just gone to Amsterdam in the train by myself. And then basically this fax machine at home starts rolling out a contract of about 25 pages.
Wow.
And obviously my mom's kind of looking at me going like, what's going on? And I'm dancing in the living room going like, yep, I have got my job. I'm out of here. See ya. And yeah, that's basically the beginning of 5 years with Sieben Cruise Lines, where I jumped on board. I became a runner. As a runner, you eventually, climb the ladder. You become a waiter, then you become a station manager, eventually a head waiter, and then a senior maitre d'. And so this is all in a period of like 5 years. And obviously, I am loving the fact that the cruise ships take you around the world. And you learn to really have respect for all the cultures and the nationality of the people that are on board. And I never thought I would do anything else. I was like, cruise ships, this is it. There was structure, there was real clear guidelines as to how you should behave, and I was kind of fine with that. I mean, I broke a few rules here and there, and I wasn't a saint, that's for sure. But I loved it. And I thought, pleasing these wonderful guests, mainly Americans, but in a way, Sieben was back in the day like the #1 in the world, and it had this clientele that was just the wealthiest of around the world. And this is back in, I'd say I joined in '93, and I left, I guess 4 or 5 years later. So it was awesome. And then I got headhunted by a company to join Lady Mora. And good old Lady Mora, as we all know, I mean, you know it well, it's in Palma or in Monaco, right? It's one of the two. And I was on this cruise ship, and I was like thinking, wow, okay. And I went on to Lady Mora as the second steward. I had no clue what that meant, because on cruise ships, it's all hierarchy. And here I go onto a yacht, and I'm like with Captain Klaus Bader-Schmid back in the day. And I'm joining this yacht, and I was like, wow, this is going to be amazing. They had told me that I was going to have this inspiring chief steward who had been working for the Queen for years in the UK. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's going to be amazing. And then actually what happened, after about 2 weeks, I went to the captain, I resigned. I could not understand. There was no structure. The man was not inspiring, I can tell you that. He was actually rather annoying. Maybe I was also a little bit arrogant and maybe a bit cocky because I was still, pretty young. But I just thought, no, this is not going to happen. And the captain said to me, and it's funny enough, I remember this so well. He said, don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a few minutes. And he came back a few minutes later and he said, right, so you stay, you become the chief steward, and he goes. And he paused. And I paused, and I had this knot in my stomach where I was like, oh, this is going to be a life decision-making moment, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds really good. Thinking by myself, how the hell am I going to do this? So that day, everything was changed. I became the chief steward. I stayed for almost 3 years, worked with the family. I restructured the setup of the interior, and we worked very closely with the galley. Really interesting. Obviously, they use the boat 6-7 months a year straight. Wow. So there's no breaks. You have no weekends. You have no days off. You just basically work. This is the old days, and I loved it. I was like, I came from cruise ships. You had no days off either, so it didn't matter. What was really cool then is I basically got to a point where obviously I was thinking, what am I doing in the winter period? And they said, well, why don't you come along? And we are buying houses, we're having houses, we need to have them reset. And I did that for 2 winters with them. And that was like my first yacht job, like basically being a chief steward and then being a butler, I guess, on land. And it was awesome. After Lady Mora, I decided, I got to an end with Lady Mora. There's only one reason. He had 9 children. 9 children. And I can tell you that is not working for me.
No. It wouldn't work for me either.
It worked for a while. I have to be honest. It worked for a while, and I obviously got along with all the kids anyway, and they were growing older, so it was fine. But it was so much, and they would bring their little people friends, right? So there was 9 and 9. It's 18 of them.
Little people friends.
It just didn't work for me. You can give me a few of them, but 18 was just too much. So I ended up basically looking for, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I asked them if I could go on rotation. This is back in 2001, way before rotation was something. They said no. He said, I want you or I don't want, and I was like, I think I have to go then because I just can't do this. Following that, very briefly, a 3-year stint on a 60-meter yacht, Motiat Shamar. Amazing parents, amazing owners, really tight-knit crew, because I do think on smaller boats that actually does kind of grow faster, you unite faster. Yeah. And I did 3 years on there. I still know everyone very well from that team. And then I got headhunted for the build of Motiat Octopus. So this is Vulcan Maritime, which is actually Paul Allen, who sadly passed away last year. And I came on board to build Octopus. I did a shipyard for about a year. Then there was another boat called Tatouche and another one called Meduse. And in the end, I became the fleet hospitality and event manager for them, which kept me busy for about 7.5, I think 8 years. Wow. Yeah. And I loved working for him. Now, by now, I think you realize I've been so lucky. My whole career has just been right moment, right time, getting onto the right projects. The adventures of Mr. Allen and his family, for me to create the impossible, basically. There was one thing he said to me when I started. He said, so I have more than enough money. I do have more than enough money. You're never going to finish my money. So all I'm going to say is, make me happy. Make me and my family and my friends happy. Yeah. That was before real budgets came in. And then, of course, during my time with him, more and more budgets came in. What was also interesting, he taught me and also some of the crew members, was that he basically looked at his businesses, at his yachts as businesses. This is way before others were starting to really look at, proper forecasting, proper budgeting. Even though these boats are not making any money, it's still good to really shepherd the money and know where it's going. I have to say, in the beginning, I had a little bit of difficulty with that. My main reason to leave cruise ships to come to yachts was because on cruise ships, I couldn't actually create these incredible experiences because they were so tight on their budgets. And if there's one thing that, I think if we talk to any of the people that I've worked with on these years on board, they know that I have a very big creative brain that wants to just explode with events and parties and whatever we can do. So that's where Mr. Allen was amazing, because he wanted that. Yeah. He wanted to see amazing events in St. Barts. He wanted to see Cannes Film Festival, being the person to be talked about. He wanted to see, events in Venice with the film festival, and New Orleans with the jazz festival, and Rio with the carnival. And we did all that, like every year. So yeah, then at the end of my tenure with Mr. Allen, we got to a point where I was getting a bit bored. We had 3 yachts, they were all running. We had crew on all of them. And I remember asking the question and asked him if he was going to build another boat, because that would give me new challenges, Yeah. And he said, nah. And then he kind of knew, and I said, well, then I think I'm going to be leaving. And he actually said, you know what, if you ever need anything, it's fine. I understand. And that's when I set up this company. So what I did for him and his family, his sister and everybody, was so interesting and challenging at the same time, but it helped them have a better life. It helped them have a great holiday experience. And I think that, well, my noble thinking, and this is what I always say to all the students, is I think anyone working in this industry, by doing that, you're helping them to do good in the world. Yeah. That's my belief. My belief is if they have better experiences on yachts without their problems, they will, and most of them do such good things all over, they will have their minds free to actually think about these things. So I decided to set up a company that would do the same for many more billionaires and millionaires. And that was in 2009. So here we are, 11 years later. We have done that.
And done very well. I mean, you are very busy. You've got a great team put in place at this stage.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's awesome, actually. I've got the most, I was going to say, generous team. They're all about giving. So they're all about, just listening, and really understand what's needed. And we don't drive our own agenda. everybody working with us drives the agenda, but I think the skill of listening is essential, and I think we have mastered that. So that's why my team is so good, because they all are like-minded. They're all like-minded. They all live by the same values. They all know themselves within. They really know, and as when you know yourself, you can start helping others. That's, I think, why the team is what it is. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, I think a business is only as successful as the sum of its members, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've obviously put together the right team to take you forward into the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I told you about this in the past. I mean, we work with a foundation on anything we do. It doesn't matter if it's our inside work or our academy work or our coaching work. And the inside part is built on the foundation and understanding of other people's energy.
Right.
So once you understand another person's energy, you can much more tailor-made the service that you're going to build around this particular person or client. And when we started doing that, I mean, the success didn't come easy. The success did not come easy. I mean, the first 6 years, I tell you, it was a roller coaster. We were trying out things. We didn't really have a story behind it. And then 6 years ago, we got into, in connection with Roger Hamilton, who's one of my gurus out there, and he really delivered the story around energy and human energy, and what you could do with that to me in such a way in Bali that it all happened. And now we apply it to everything, from a technical training to a leadership training to a very coaching session that, needs people to see the bigger picture. We believe that there are, 4 types of energy that helps the individual actually find their own path. And if we can do that for anyone, and we will, anyone that wants to talk to us, we can get them to really understand what their path looks like. And
I think that's probably the biggest mistake that most of us make, is that we sort of, I think from children, we're told that we have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something traditional. And then we spend a lot of time trying to focus towards those goals and never actually have that fulfillment inside of ourselves for doing something that we really love to do. So I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's interesting because we do this at all levels, which is, we got youngsters, green people coming into the industry going, like, what is my passion? Where should I go? So we help them find that so that they can determine if it is an interior or a deck or, another role within the industry. But more importantly, if you're already in the industry, and I know myself, I don't think personally I've had it, but I had people in my team who had it, who are going through the day just because they have to get through the day, And whilst I was dealing with that during my career and also now in the work that we do now, how incredibly fulfilling it is for someone like us to be able to make that individual actually see that maybe they're in the wrong role. Let's say they're on the wrong seat in the bus. They're in the right bus, or maybe they're not, but then they have to move to another bus.
Yeah.
But if they're on the right bus, they might just not be on the right seat. And to help managers or leaders see where to put them and make the individual actually start to love what they're doing, because we have helped them to get in the right seat. I mean, that's the most rewarding thing you can have.
I can imagine.
It's just putting the puzzle pieces on the right place. That's all it's all we would want to do for anyone. Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about this 7-star guest experience. I mean, straight across the board, we all, the 5-star restaurant or a 5-star, what is 7-star for you?
Oh, I've had that question several times, and I don't think my answer changes. 5-star, you go in for an experience, restaurant, like you were just saying. You will come out of that being totally fulfilled, but it's a few hours later, right? So the restaurant might not know you. So the experience can only get to a certain level because they don't have knowledge of you. You go on to, let's say, cruise ships. Cruise ships, they're talking about 6 stars most of the time, and you're ending up on Silver Seas or Seaburn or, one of those high-end ones. And you see a lot of cruise people that enjoy cruises go back to the same cruise company. So they have a database of information about you. So they are able to really fine tune some of the services they provide to you in your room, in the dining rooms, wherever. And then you get the yachting. And yachting is 7 stars. I don't know if we labeled it ourselves or if, whatever. It doesn't matter. I do understand what we're saying, because if you provide, or when you provide 7-star service, then basically you rise above the other 2 that I just described. What happens on yachts is we don't leave the yacht. We're living there. So, we don't ever get a time to really step off after an 8-hour shift. We are there, and because of that, there is something dynamic that happens. We start to unite all the departments and all the people within the departments, and therefore our creativity altogether, starts to really come out. And we are in how do I say that? It is such personalized service that we provide because we know them so well.
Yeah.
I do think charter is most probably even slightly different to an owned yacht. The owner that owns a yacht, obviously we know that person even more.
Yeah.
But that is the difference. We go into such length and such detail to find out as soon as possible from day one or before, ideally, so that we can provide exceptional service throughout their experience. If people want us close by, we're close by. If people want us far away, we'll be a little bit further away. But when we bring in the special touches and the surprise elements, which can be formal or informal or casual, it doesn't matter. It changes all the time. In a restaurant, you get one type of service. That's what the owner has thought about. That's what the maitre d' wants to give to you. It's one type. They're not looking at your nationality. They're not going to look, if that should be, maybe slightly different service from the left, service from the right. We won't do that in a restaurant. It is one way. Yeah. Cruise ships, same thing. It's one way. Yachts, no. We are all trained to know everything about any nationality that you might encounter. So 1 week a charter might be served from the left, well, the next one needs to be served from the right. It is our job as crew to really dive in deep and care for these people that come in. We always say that we whoever we work with, we really believe, and I truly believe that is the key. We are developing caring hospitality professionals, and that's not just the interior. We work with the whole crew. We work with deck, we work with engine, we work with captains, we work with family officers. Because if we care so deeply for what we provide to our clients or our guests during charters or whatever, then they'll feel that.
Yeah.
You'll feel it. I mean, I'm sure when you've been to a good restaurant, you feel it if someone is really enjoying it, really caring for you, really wanting to do it. On yachts, that is the only way. We don't have a choice. We need to care. And if we can bring that across to people, then we can do magic.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's just like relationships. Unless you really care for yourself, you can't care for others. And that comes right back to finding the right seat on the bus.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't like that job that you've got, you're just doing it because of the salary. You're not going to be displaying that professionalism or that caring for anybody because you're just there because it happens to be the job of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've always had the exact same belief, what you've just described. One of the things I have learned over the years, we obviously have a lot of nationalities, and some of the people that work on the yachts do really come for the money. Mm-hmm. And I have made a difference between these two. I don't mind if someone is just truly honest with me about that, because then I can help them to still do the caring service. The money is the underlying reason why you're here, but that doesn't mean you can't love what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, let's take some of the nationalities. I mean, obviously the lovely ladies and gentlemen from the Philippines and Nepal. I mean, we totally understand why they're doing this. They need to provide for families back home. They have purpose. How great is it to have purpose? We have enough others, Westerns, running around the yachts who do not know why the hell they're doing what they're doing. These lovely people come and they have purpose. They are providing for families. And then when we're all open about that and we're clear about that, we all work together and we deliver, greatness. It is amazing, but you've got to name it. You've got to be clear with each other as to why you're on that boat. And then it works.
Well, honesty is always the best policy at the end of the day anyways, isn't it?
Yeah.
No matter what you do.
Yeah.
So, one thing in this time right now that I think, everybody's being locked down. We have crew that are in lockdown on the yachts as well, crew that are in crew houses that are locked down.
Well,
How have you guys changed your model of business in order to help these people?
Interesting. Yeah. Well, as you know, we most of our work is done in person, right? So, and for years that's been so successful that as a magnet, we just got more and more and more. So we never really thought about changing that model because we love it. We love flying out there, going to see them. We did, since I don't know, about a year, have some plans to go online with some stuff. So one of the things that we do already very effectively after we train on board or on site in the residences or whatever, we offer this package that basically allows people to check in with us. You could call it coaching or mentoring. So we've gone online and we do that a lot. So when this happened, I was like, wow, okay, let's just all kind of jump on a call first thing and let's just kind of brainstorm because I love to listen and get the ideas from everybody else. I do have my own ideas, but it'd be good to see. And everybody wanted to go online. So there was a desire from everybody in the team to go, okay, well, how are we going to go online then? And that's what we did. We came up with, for our first pillar, our inside work with the energies and really discovering yourself and understanding your natural path and all that. We've gone online with that. And we've got two different ways. And there's a 4-week program that is like a proper training, taking you through a whole training that we would normally do on site in a day. And we've got a personal leadership program online as well. Plus, we are launching next week another leadership program that will give people the chance to go at their own pace. Okay. So they'll get access to all the material and then they go at their own pace. They have allowance to connect with one of our coaches and trainers during the time that they're going through all the work. And by the end, obviously, there's certificates on both sides. So yeah, we had to adjust, and it actually helped us in a way. Sorry, I mean, it's horrible to say, but it helped us to refocus on some of this stuff that we had to develop before, we obviously go back in, I don't know, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I don't think any of us know, 4 weeks in some of the countries. I think we all have to take this time, really focus on what you can do in the time to become a better you. If you can do that, then
well, I mean, realistically, even if you are working, it never hurts to continue to learn. So the idea that some of these things are online, and maybe it's not necessarily that your yacht as a whole is, utilizing luxury hospitality services, but you can do it yourself and you can make yourself just that little bit better. You can maybe shoot your sights for that better job that you've been hoping for, like you did as you were coming up. You wanted to get into that, top of the range cruise ship, and then you wanted to get into the private yachting, and you wanted to get into a better boat, and so on and so forth. And the only way to do that is to constantly be educating yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is a drive. That's another element. One of the values we have within the company as well is we all continuously develop further. Yeah. We all really push each other to continue to learn new things that we then bring into the classroom, obviously. And I think each individual on board the boats, you're there for a certain reason. You might know your reason, you might not know your reason. So that's the first step. Let's identify what the actual reason is. The yacht might just be a small period of your life, but use it as a jumping platform. Use the time, use the funds that you have available during your time in the industry to set yourself up for success when you get out. Yeah. Or if you decide to create a career out of the yachting industry, again, use the time wisely. This is the time. And I'm pretty sure that good leaders, good captains, everyone in this industry really understands the power of continuous learning. And when you have the time available, or at least maybe a period of the time, because work does continue, then, use it.
Well, and realistically, much of the stuff that they can learn through you, that can also be applied on land too. It's not just for yachts. This is the kind of information that, say you get to a certain age and you want to leave yachting, but you still have to work because, some people want to leave yachting at 40, some people want to leave at 35, some people stick it out till 50, who knows?
Yeah.
But not everyone's going to say, I'm ready to retire. They still want to continue to do something. So the fact is, whatever skills they learn through you, they're able to take those and apply those to land-based jobs as well.
I'm glad you actually bring that up, because one of the main reasons why we started leadership training and all that back in 2008, when by the time back in the day it was like, shh, don't talk to us about leadership or personal leadership, because people didn't really seem to understand. I mean, our industry, and sorry to say it, but we are a little bit behind some of the other industries on land. And since we're all catching up and it's all happening, the way I describe it is we're in a bubble. Yachting is a beautiful bubble, and you're in there for a certain period of your life. When you come out, most of our training in the industry is all geared to the bubble. So you walk out with, training and certificates that you're like, yeah, that's nice. That worked for me while I was in the bubble. Both of the courses that I just described are giving you certificates that help you outside of the bubble. So one, in the personal leadership side, we are basically, we work together with the material from Covey, the 7 Habits of Successful People. Mm-hmm. And with the Inside course, we work with Roger Hamilton's work. So there are certificates coming out of that as well. And that is a particular piece of paper that you can take out of the bubble and you can say, look, I've actually, I've done a little bit more. I remember when I went for my first interview outside of the bubble, and this is when I was about 24, I think. And I went into the Marriott hotels in Amsterdam, and they basically asked me, "What have you been doing? You're a chief steward?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, but it's running a boutique hotel, and they don't understand."
Yeah.
So it is good to use this time wisely and get some paperwork behind you that you can take outside of the bubble, and be confident when you walk up to them that they will recognize it.
For sure. So what is next for luxury hospitality management? What is the next step for Peter and the team?
I mean, we will continue to develop new online stuff. We're going to actually go into some live conversations with the people that we attract. We're going to use Instagram. We're going to use Facebook for those things. And further, I think we are sharpening the saw. We're all starting to really look at how can we come out of this as strong and as efficient as possible, and how can we all feel fantastic by the time we walk out of this. I'll be honest, the first week or two, I drank quite a bit of wine myself, and I ate, and I really ate. I was eating a lot, and I was loving it.
I don't think you were alone in that. I really don't.
I loved it because I was home, and I always travel, and I was home, and I was like not having to go anywhere. I was telling everybody to stay away from me, and I loved it. Now, since last week, I was like, okay, Peter, I think you need to stop that. And I've gone on a 28-day juicing crazy journey, which basically means no more alcohol, working out, and drinking 5 juices a day, and that's it.
So you're not eating any food?
No. It's incredible. I did 14 days a few years ago, but because I travel so much, I don't have time.
Right.
So I decided to do this because I want to come out healthy, I want to come out fresh, and I want to be ready for whatever 2020 is going to give us back, because we've lost a few months.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I share this, because I don't think everybody should do this.
Well, you know what? I'm not entirely sure if we've actually lost a few months or if we've gained a generation.
Oh, I love how you describe that. I really do love how you describe that. People asked me the other day, well, when we get back to normal, and I'm like, there is no normal.
No.
We've lost normal. We've lost what we had. Now we need to adapt. If you don't adapt, you're losing.
Yeah.
And that's with any business in our industry as well. If you don't adapt now, you're going to be losing. See, you're interesting with your business because you do all this online stuff. It's awesome because you're one step ahead of all of us.
I'm not sure it's one step ahead. It's more of a necessity, but it's, I got into this because I love this. And, it resonates with me, what you were saying about the right seat on the bus, because, I spent a lot of time in the wrong seat for many years. It was always in media, but it was always in the wrong seat for somebody else. And when I finally decided to do this for me, that seat became comfortable.
Ah, good.
And there's a joy of doing something that you feel self-satisfaction for. I don't know. And it's something that I would encourage everybody to do, is to really, really reevaluate. If you're working for somebody else and you don't like working for somebody else, but you still like the career path you've chosen, then do it for yourself.
Mm.
You know, I think anybody can be anything that they want to be. They just need the right encouragement, and they need the right people around them
Yeah.
to help them achieve. And I think that's our biggest struggle, really, as human beings, is finding the right people that are able to help you and give you a hand, you know?
Well, I love what you're saying, because we always say to people, look, if something isn't working for you today, you've got to change something. And
Yeah.
whatever that change is, either go left, right, up, down, but it has to change, because otherwise you're always going to net the same result.
Yes.
That's obviously, the underlying kind of like conversation you're having when someone is stuck. It's like, okay, well, let's zoom out. Let's look at your situation, and then let's decide if it's a left or a right or an up or a down for you. And that is such gratifying work. So if someone is right now out there stuck and they're not knowing, then either communicate with people around you,
Yeah.
find yourself a mentor who will help you do this. Contact us, check our website and coach with us, or look at a mirror. Grab the mirror first. When you can look at the mirror and be honest and vulnerable with yourself, you might actually get that answer yourself. If not, then there's other people that can help you.
And there is never a wrong time in life to learn something new.
Oh God, no.
Never.
Honestly, we learn every day. We're at the moment, all our trainers, we connect many times during the week, but we're actually going through our own CPD at the moment. And Georgie, who's spearheading our academy part, she is actually pushing everybody through, a whole new training program to make them better trainers.
Yeah.
So, we all work forward. We all look forward to new things. We have to.
Well, you know what? I mean, I've been saying we're going to have a normal, but it's going to be a new normal. And we're all going to embrace it, and we're all going to be thankful. I think maybe a little bit more thankful than we were before for everything that we have.
I love what you're saying there. I noticed that actually when you're out, people actually look at you again.
Yes.
They don't just look down, they actually look at you. And there's, maybe a little smile in the eyes. And yeah, it's interesting.
I think maybe our humanity is coming back a little bit, and we're not so concerned about the almighty dollar. I think I saw somebody the other day stating that, they're actually spending time with their children. They're sitting down to eat a meal. They're sitting down to have a coffee. They're reading a book. All those things that I think we as human beings have decided aren't really as important anymore in the quest to be better, to be the best. And I think that it is possible to be the best, but still to be human at the same time.
Love that. Yeah, 100%.
So let's hope this carries on forward. And Peter, I really do thank you ever so much for your time today and for your insight, as always. As we said, he does have Luxury Hospitality Management, has online courses. We'll provide the website address for you to go and check in case you're interested, if you're stuck in lockdown on your yacht. And of course, we've been hearing actually, Peter, that there's some of the yards, the police are going around and saying they're not even allowed out on deck to exercise. So if this is, yes, some of them.
Not even exercise. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, if this is the case in some areas, well, the police, it just depends on who's interpreting what law that day, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But if that's the case, then, what a great opportunity to sit down and maybe take a look at doing something better for yourself and just taking that time and that advantage to make sure that when this is all up and running again, that you've just got one more skill to add.
Absolutely. And, welcome. It's, starting off always with an intake. Like if someone calls us, it's not immediately like, we're doing this, we're doing that. It's just, tell me, let's talk, let's find out. And I think that's really, the only way forward. We can constantly tell everyone, this is what we do, this is what we do. That's not why people come to us. People come to us, to really connect. And that's way more important to us than anything else. So yeah, thanks very much for coffee, although I had juice, but I did love my juice.
Well, good luck with all of that. Thank you again for your time, Peter. We have been talking to Peter Vogel of Luxury Hospitality Management. My name is Ria. I have been your host. Thank you for watching another edition of Coffee and Conversation. We'll see you next time.